What up y'all, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dominic and today we're talking about the best hardtail mountain bike for 2021. Let's get into it. Now I'm not one for a lot of fluff and a lot of yapping, so let's get directly into the review. Today we're talking about the 2021 Vitus Nucleus VRS, and that is the king of the hardtail mountain bike sector for this price point. Now the VRS comes in at $799 and it's worth every cent of that price point, and let me tell you why. Now, before I get started, I want to talk about the Vitus brand. If you are new to Vitus or you haven't heard of this brand before, they're not a new brand. They've actually been around since the 1930s, and they started out as a French-made bicycle brand. They were around for some 70 years before they were bought out by the current Northern Ireland owners, who really revitalized and revamped the brand completely. In 2011, they relaunched with a whole new vision for where they wanted to go with bikes, and one of those visions are the Vitus Nucleus, and it's a fantastic bike. It's actually a 4-time MTB mountain bike hardtail of the bike winner. So it's for good reason that we call it the king of the castle when it comes to this price point. Vitus comes direct to consumer, if you will, so they cut out that middleman. They sell directly through two websites, that is Chain Reaction Bikes and Wiggle, if you're not in the United States. So you only can get them through those two sites. Now let's get right to the bike itself. The Vitus Nucleus VRS is not their base model, that's the VR that comes in at $649, and we will talk comparison between the two. Now let's start out with the aluminum VRS frame. The frame is a low, long, slack geometry frame, which I personally was looking for when I was purchasing this bike. They really went away from that XC geometry, which I personally do not like, and it makes me feel much more confident and in control, especially going downhill, like I'm not gonna flip over those handlebars. Pair that with a 31.8 millimeter handlebar and a nuke-proof Neutron V2 riser with a 9-degree back sweep, and we really get to feel a comfortable stance that you really feel in control on any terrain. Next, let's take a look at the front fork. Now, we get an SR Santor XCR 32 boost fork with 102 millimeters of travel. Now, this isn't the best, greatest fork on the market. I will say, you know, I was looking for a bit more, but for this price, I can't complain. The nice thing is this bike comes with a tapered front head tube, which means when it does come time for me to upgrade the front fork, I have a plethora of different options that I can choose from. If your brand or your bike model doesn't come with that tapered front head tube, you're really limited to a very small amount of entry-level, cheap, not as quality forks that you can go with. So that tapered head tube is really a big plus for me. Moving on to the drivetrain. Now, the drivetrain on the VRS is actually really quality and really nice to my liking. It's a Shimano Dior drivetrain. We have a M5100 1x chain set with a Dior M5120 rear derailleur. The system is paired with a Dior M4100 Rapid Fire Plus shifter, and it all works smoothly and efficiently. I really enjoyed the ride. The system is not Shimano's top of the line, but in comparison again to other brands and other models in this price point, it is head and shoulders above the competition. In many competitors, you're seeing 2x and 3x drive chains, which is far worse and cheaper quality than what you're finding here. In addition, the clutch activated rear mechanism was fantastic, and I found zero chain slap and no chain drops, even on the most bumpy and rocky terrain that I was riding on my local trails. You will wear out the drivetrain eventually, and you will need to replace it and upgrade it. This Shimano Dior drivetrain was really a big selling point for me personally, again, at this price point. Let's move on to brakes, and brakes are one of the complaints, if you will, that I have with this bike. Now, I ride my brakes really hard and I ride them often, and that is because I bomb down hills like I'm a much more skilled rider than I truly am. In fact, these brakes, well, really, I'm just a moron. So these brakes really just save me from dying. And so for that reason, I am really a stickler for good brakes and strong braking systems. And there is where I have a bit of an issue with the brakes that come on this bike. Those brakes are the Tektro Hydraulics M290 brakes, and I found them to be mushy and looking for a little bit more stopping power sometimes. Now, I did have them adjusted and tuned from what they came with out of the box. Out of the box, they were just unusable for me. I found them to be very subpar, and I just didn't like them at all. But after having them tuned and having a mechanic have their way with them, I did find them to be adequate. I just found myself looking for a bit more braking power sometimes. Now, that that just may be me and my riding style, and again, me just being a moron. For you, they may be plenty adequate for you and your riding style, so just something to think about. All right, the WTB i30 rims that come with the bike, they are tubeless ready, which is awesome, but the tires that come with them are not tubeless ready, so just something to keep in mind. The tire setup is a WTB Vigilante tire in front and a WTB Trail Boss tire in rear. And when it comes time to replace these tires after wearing down, I probably will upgrade to a tubeless system. Let's talk about complaints I have for this bike, and I really have two. And there's really just stupid complaints that are easy fixes. Number one are the pedals that come with it. The stock pedals are absolutely horrendous. I found them unusable, annoying, and just so slippery if they get a little bit wet. So that was the number one thing I replaced, and I usually replace these on all my mountain bikes. So that was a quick. Number two on my list of complaints is actually the lack of a dropper seat post. Now, that's just unrealistic at this price point, but I will say that the stock seat post is unusually tall and quite annoying when you're riding. I found myself really wanting a dropper seat post and kind of a mandatory upgrade if you're gonna be riding any type of technical course or terrains at all. So that's something that I will be upgrading immediately, and I suggest you do the same. Are those really complaints? Not really. Those are easy fixes and definitely not deal breakers at all. Let's talk about the difference between the Vitus Nucleus VR and the Nucleus VRS. While the price points are only $150 apart between $650 and $799, the spec sheet between the two are actually vastly apart. Let's first get into the drivetrain. The Vitus VR rocks a box 4 1x8 system with an 11 to 40 tooth cassette, while the VRS comes with a Shimano 1x10 system with an 11 to 46 tooth cassette. So for climbing and rigorous rides and shifting efficiency and smoothness, you will see a very big difference between those two systems. There's also a slight step down in braking power and ability. The Tektro hydraulic system that comes with the Vitus VR is the M275 as opposed to the M290 that comes with the VRS. And that was already a complaint, or a whine that I had about the VRS, so I think even a further step down might be a bit more of an annoyance. However, they do come with the same rotors on both. In addition, the tires, the rims, the frame, the front fork, the bars, the grips, they're all the same between the two models, so that is a nice thing. However, if you do get a VR and later on decide to upgrade the cassette, the chain set, the drivetrains, the shifters, and the brakes to match those of the VRS, you're gonna pay a hell of a lot more than a $150 price point that you pay up front with the VRS. So if you can swing a little bit extra money, I highly recommend the VRS, especially just for that 1x10 system as opposed to the 1x8. That's a really big difference. Overall, I absolutely love my Vitus and have zero regrets with my purchase. If you guys are looking for a new mountain bike in 2021, I would absolutely start here. I've linked their website below, and I've also linked another really good review that MTB did. It's the video for the Hardtail Mountain Bike of the Year award, so you can see a comparison with other bike models. But that's all I got for you guys today. I really appreciate you watching this video. If you found value, hit me with a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe for more great review videos, and get out on the trail, y'all. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.